Hello everyone, welcome to the C# Programmer Zambia, and in this video we're going to be doing pre-increment and post-increment. So I'm going to be giving you an explanation on these two, okay, because I know that so many people get confused between post-increment and pre-increment. So in order for us to get started, I would like you to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to get instant notifications on my videos. And now let's dive right into it. So I know so many people get confused between post-increment and pre-increment because mostly there isn't a very good explanation behind that. Okay, so let us look at why. Let's look at how our post-increment and our pre-increment work. Okay, so our post-increment, which is for example x plus plus, uses the value of x first and then increases it. So if you use x now, it's going to use the current value. Let's say x is equal to 0. If you use x after doing this, it will use the value 0. But then if you use x again, it's going to use 1 because you've used the value already and you've actually increased it. Okay, but if we use our pre-increment, it means that right there and then when we try to use the value, it's going to give us a value that has been already increased by 1. Okay, so pre-increment, as it is explained here, increases the value then uses it. Okay, so let's put this into code. Okay, so let's say int x is equal to 0, and I'm going to assign I'm also going to declare y and assign it a value 0 as well, so that we really see how our pre-increment and post-increment work. Okay, so for x, let's try to output x right now. Okay, so I'm simply going to say sorry, that's pre-increment. We're simply going to say I'm looking for this. Okay, so I'm simply going to say output x. So if we run our code right now, we're gonna see that x is 0 because it's actually 0 there. So I guess you can see 0. Now let's try to say x plus plus. Okay, and we run our program. So I'm also going to say that x will still be equal to 0 because we're using it and then increasing its value. Okay, so x is still equal to 0. But then if we say plus plus x, it means that our value is being increased then being used, so we are going to have 1. Okay, so I hope you've really understood what it is that we're doing. Let me give you a more detailed example by outputting everything at once. So here we output x. Okay, then actually this is not necessary. Let's just have x. Then we also output x plus plus, and after outputting x plus plus, I want us to output x again. Okay, so I'm going to explain before we actually run the program. Here we are outputting the original value of x. Then here we are outputting don't mind that, outputting x, then increasing its value. Then here we are outputting the increased value of x. Okay, so this is exactly how the post increment works. Firstly, you're going to have the post increment here, but then the post increment will ignore that you've increased the value first. So it will just print out the original value of x. Thereafter, the next x that you're going to have is going to be increased by 1. Okay, so let's run our code to demonstrate what's happening here. Okay, so we have it. So I guess you can see these 3 lines are equal to these 3 lines. Okay, so our x is 0 because the original value is 0. Then when we say x plus plus, it doesn't increase there and then. First, it's going to use the same 0 as the value of x, then increase it. So when we call x again, we're going to notice that the value will now be increased to 1 because it was increased after it was used in the second line here. So I hope that's a clear explanation. Okay, now let's try our pre-increment. So for our pre-increment, we're going to try, I see why we need that y. Let's say int y is equal to 0. Okay. Here we're going to simply say plus plus y. Now notice that let me also just put an empty line here. Okay, so notice that we're now using the pre-increment. So for the pre-increment, as you saw here, the pre-increment increases the value, then uses it. Okay, so we're going to increase our value before we use it, meaning that when we use it, we're already going to have an increased value. So we'll be using an increased value. Okay, so let's run our program and see exactly what's happening. So our program will run. That's F9. Was our program running already? Okay, let's just wait for it. Okay, and there seems to be an error. Oh, so there is an error here. Let's just do that. Something empty there, and we run our program again, and now it should run. Okay, so I guess you can see, let's compare the lines of code now. This is already explained, but now we're here. So cout plus plus y gives us 1. And the reason for this is that our value of y is 0, yes? But then, before we use it here, we are starting by increasing it, okay? So let me just bring this back. We are first starting with increasing its value, then using it. All right? So you should be able to solve more complicated issues when it comes to pre and post increment, especially in exams. And all you need is this simple explanation. Okay, you really need to understand what is happening before what. All right, so keep it in mind. You can note this down, and you can also rewatch this video until you really understand. Okay, because if you just understand these 2 explanations about post increment and pre increment, then you're good to go with post increments and pre increments, including the decrements. So decrements are simply you saying minus minus, and you also say minus minus there. Okay, so I want you to try that and give me some feedback. Ask me questions in the comment section below, and I'll be there to answer you. So thank you for watching this video. See you in the next one.